Hello and welcome to Diary of a DM. Today we're going to talk about creating OBS overlays. In a previous episode we created ping images in GIMP, and today we're going to take those images and we're going to create scenes appropriate for capturing webcams. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing you're going to have to do is download Open Broadcaster software. There's other software you can use, but this is specifically what I use and a large portion of the streaming community. It's free, it's open source. There are some other projects derived from it. It's pretty good, and it's cross-platform. So download the version that is required for your operating system. I'm on Ubuntu, so the Linux version, and then go ahead and install it. Okay, if you launch OBS for the first time, it should have an empty scene. If you've launched it before and have your own scene collection, you can go to Scene Collection, New, and then enter a name for your new scene and hit OK. Now, just as a heads up, you're probably going to see my screen flicker a little bit for whatever reason. OBS doesn't like capturing OBS, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So yeah, you could just see some flickers. Just try and ignore them. Enjoy. So we have a scene already, and this is just the one that's default. I'm going to give it a name. I like to have my scenes either called main or roll20. The roll20 ones capture roll20. Main just captures my webcams. So I'm going to call this main, and I think we were 4-player last time we set up a space for 4 players. 4-player. So I have this empty space. I have no sources. The first thing I'm going to do is add in a source, and we're going to use an image. I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to say 4-player overlay. Some name that's meaningful to you. And then I will browse to a location. Main 4-player overlay, and you can see a preview of our overlay. You see also a preview of it being added, and I'll hit OK. And now you can see that there are these 4 spaces. They have nothing in them, and we have our 4-player overlay source here. So that's it. You've pulled in an overlay. If you wanted to add text, for example, if you wanted to add player names, you go to add text, and I could say name player 1. Provide the name. Select what font you're interested in using. You can change the color, you can change the size. And you'll see it's come up over here. Actually, white was a terrible idea. So we'll set it to black. It does a crossfade between these 2 colors. So if you want it to be pure black, select pure black. And now you can see that the name is overlaid appropriately. So you could go ahead and do this for all the spaces. I'd recommend doing a copy followed by a paste duplicate. There's paste reference, and paste duplicate reference means it will be the same instance in memory. So if I were to edit the name on it, for example, go from Drax to, Ithcar, then both instances on screen would say Ithcar. So I'll show you that real quick. So here's the one that's just a reference to it instead of being a proper duplicate. And if I go to properties on this and change it to, say, Ithix or something, you'll see they both now say Ithix. So instead of doing that, you can go here and hit remove, which is the minus. What I'm going to do is copy and then paste a duplicate. And I'm going to give this an appropriate name, player or DM, for example. Grab this, drag it over here. Go to properties. Say Dungeon Master. And so now we have Dungeon Master. And we could do that for all of our player spaces, and it makes it really easy to just kind of drag around. You could also bake these into the ping itself. So there's no reason to have to use these fonts to render over here. You could actually just bake them in. Once you're ready to capture a screen, I'm going to split this up into 2 sides. you need a source to render from. So if I start a Jitsi call over here on this left-hand side, we can see this rendered space, which has me in it. And the nice thing about Jitsi is I can create a whole bunch of them. So you can see I have 2 play spaces over here. If you're gonna have 4 players or something like that, which I think is our goal. You could see that there's a whole bunch of screens. So I am going to want to capture them appropriately. And the nice thing about Jitsi is I can load them all at once. You could see I can kind of just test load these, and that'll help me when I'm capturing them. So we're going to capture the first, and then I'll let you set up all the rest yourself. So over here we go add, and then this is going to be dependent on your operating system, exactly what you see here. I have this window capture and I have a screen capture. Now, one thing I'll say is if I attempt to window capture, so just capturing a specific window, I'm going to have, and I'm just going to call this Chrome. Capture Chrome. Player 1. If I attempt to do this and I select Jitsi, you'll notice it renders just in black. And on Ubuntu with Chrome, I haven't been able to solve this yet for any web RCT technologies, so Hangouts, anything like that. So what I do instead is I go to screen capture, which will capture my entire screen. And I'll say capture player 1, or let's do capture DM, or whatever, player 1's fine. And you'll see it's showing me the entire screen. I don't want the cursor. Hit OK. And immediately everything looks crazy. We want to apply our first filter, which will be cropping it so that it's only that first screen. So we go to Filters, Add, Crop Pad. OK. And in here, you'll see that there's a preview. I know there's a lot of screens going on. We're going to try and isolate this camera over here. So we're going to say, let's go down from the top by 500. We'll go up from the bottom by 500. And just kind of play around with these numbers until we start getting to something that looks right. Be nice if they had a drag drop, but they don't. And there are ways to do math for this and whatnot. Ooh, there we go. We're getting there. All right. And then you can crop this a little bit so that, you know, it feels like the player is more centered or fits into the space better. Something like that. And now we have one nice clean capture. And you'll notice that if I drag it, okay, it's in front of everything. These layers are in order that they're rendered. So if I take capture PL and I drag it, oops, and I drag it beneath the overlay, it now renders behind the overlay. What I'm going to have to do is for every single one of my players, set up a capture for them. Now, I went to go drag the webcam and this entire space moved as well. What I would recommend you do for your overlay is in sources, you'll see that there's a visibility indicator, which we can turn off. I can't see it. Or what you can do to actually help your life is hit this little lock over here. And what that does is it means that that layer is no longer selectable. I can't drag it. So when I go to drag something, it's going to end up being something that I can drag. If you do have text down here and you don't want it being dragged as well, I would recommend locking that. So now those are all locked, and you'll see the only thing that's selectable is the webcam. Obviously, your players aren't always going to join your web conferencing software in the same order. So what I would recommend is, 10, 15 minutes before you stream, get everybody in, and then drag the windows appropriately. So we'll do a second capture just so you can see what that's kind of like. So what we're going to have to do is do another new screen capture, call it capture DM. In this case, I'll capture the DM window with it, which in Jitsi is the bottom rightmost one. It'll bring up everything, turn off the cursor, and we'll go ahead and modify the filters, add crop pad, and we're trying to capture this one. Getting there. Okay, and this'll do for what we're doing right now. Again, I'm gonna set this one up, and I have to go here and drag it below the overlay. And there you go. Now we have two webcams being captured. You'd repeat this for all of your cameras. What I generally do is I have this main 4-player scene here. If I have a variable number of players, for example, in my pickup games, I'll have a 3-player, 4-player, 5-player, and 6-player scene. Main indicates just those cameras, and then Roll20 would indicate that it has a play space where we capture Roll20. Okay, that's it. It's really, really easy to set up your first scene for capturing webcams using an overlay that we created before. OBS is pretty intuitive. In the future, we'll go over how to set up your audio, how to capture Roll20 music, and how to set up multiple scenes for things like "We're starting soon," AFK, and thanks for watching. On that note, thanks for watching.